I guess they thought the world would end. Nope, not a chance. Right back at it. The brothers would be right back up. I don't know if it just stopped. That's interesting. I don't know if that just stopped just because of what we was talking about. Hmm, that's interesting. But I want to get right back into this. White people creating their own towns in 2024. So maybe I'll switch it to, let me see something. People creating their own towns in 2024. I am supremely for people creating their own towns in 2024. Completely. I'm with it. I'm going to go into this article real quick. It says, wealthy white, it says, wealthy white Louisiana residents win right to split from Baton Rouge and form their own city. Can you hear me, Logic? Huh?
I said I can hear you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. It says a group of wealthy white Baton Rouge residents have won a decades long battle to split from the majority black city to form their own suburb following a
Now
state
wait.
supreme.
I mean, yeah, state Supreme Court ruling. So do we need to play that for educational purposes only? Join on the bottom of the screen or something?
Yeah, why
Do we
not?
need to do the disclaimer?
Yeah, why not?
I think it's already a mystery of why that happened.
Yeah. Why not? Okay. So this is free use for education purposes only. I guess that's power. You know what? You know how we be discussing what's power and what ain't? That's power, bro. That's power. If that's
Shut
exactly
you
what
automatically down.
I said, zoop, call it a day. It's a wrap. But no, I looked at the YouTube studio. There was no issue. It didn't get pulled down. I guess maybe just something happened. I don't know. But so a group of wealthy white Baton Rouge residents have won a decades-long battle to split from the majority black city to form their own suburb following a state Supreme Court ruling. After reversing a lower court's decision on Friday, the Supreme Court ruled 4-3, it's close, in favor of the incorporation of St. George, which will form in southeast Baton Rouge. This is the culmination of citizens exercising their constitutional rights. We voted and we won. One of the leaders of the St. George campaign. Now we begin the process of delivering on our promises of a better city. We welcome both our friends and foes to the table to create St. George. Okay, so let me see. Much like the case with Central, the last incorporated city to be born in East Baton Rouge Parish, the St. George initiative began with hopes of residents starting a new school district before ultimately deciding to create their own city. They failed to garner enough votes in 2015. It won the election, but it was stalled by a court battle. Okay, so let's see why they were fighting it. So Sharon West Broom, the mayor president leading the combined Baton Rouge and East Baton Rouge parish governments, sued the St. George organizers, arguing that the split would siphon more than $48 million in tax revenue from the local government. They also argued that St. George will not have the proper budget to operate on its own. Oh man, this is the first black person I've seen. It just so happens to be the mayor of Baton Rouge. So they disagreed with the city's assessment and claimed that a thriving St. George would become an asset. They conceded the battle.
Excuse me.
The NAACP maintained its fears that the formation of St. George will negatively impact Baton Rouge's majority black community. The St. George plan poses significant risk to our education system, continuity of critical programs, and challenges community representation. Hmm. Okay, so who is he? He's an attorney. So you from New Orleans? You have you heard about this?
I never heard nothing about that. Nothing about, I mean, my first question is, I'm gonna ask it to you, right? So, how do you think that that negatively impact the black part of the community?
Well, off the top of my brain, I would say The schools will definitely get worse immediately. The funding for government would get hurt immediately. Well, I've been a part of this already. In New Jersey, they separated from Paterson, New Jersey. They have, I think it's Hawthorne and Highland Park, New Jersey. Matter of fact, I'll look that up. But I think the main thing that they would try to figure out is when you're creating a city, it would be the funding. That would be the main issue because you get funded based on population, you get funded based off of the census. So now if you got a brand new city and a brand new place, essentially, you will, it's gonna hurt immediately. And then also to immediately just anytime you talk about court rulings, especially Supreme Court rulings, there's a word that's very important. It's called precedence. Once you set a precedent like this, you better be careful and start looking around the country because they aren't the only people that feel that way. Newark used to be just one big place. It became Kearney. It became North Newark. It became Vauxhall. It became Irvington. It became Maplewood. Like there used to be just one big city. So I don't know. I don't think it's dangerous. I don't know why they're doing it per se. I mean, I have to do more research on it. But if you have the ability to use that kind of power, I don't know. I'd have to look into it and see maybe what the other side is saying and why they're doing it. What's your thoughts on it?
My first thought is so now that it's possible. I mean, they shouldn't be the only group of people who could do it. But you bring up something I didn't think about is when you talk about like government funding for like things like education, and I'm not necessarily clear on what would allow them to have funding, whereas black people wouldn't be able to have access to funding, just because now you've separated white people from black people. So I'm not necessarily clear on that, right? I can see a scenario where that could happen, but I'm under the impression that we have laws in place to say that it shouldn't happen like that, right? So that's my initial impression. I probably sound a little naive putting it out there just like that, but to me, my first mind says, well, then it's possible. Maybe you can have a black only city and do whatever they're doing. I could be wrong.
My
What
dogs
you
are
think,
bugging
Hicks?
me. Just scroll up a little bit so I can read some of it because I missed when you read it. I had to go let my aminos out. All right. Let me zoom in. I just want to see if someone's being left out.
Well, I mean, I think the main issue would be, and when you own property in towns, anybody who owns property, one of the things that you realize fairly quickly is you're not going to be $1 million house around a bunch of $100,000 houses. That's usually not how it works. How it works is the property value is determined by the house around the corner. So if the neighborhood or the area, and if your property value is struggling, if you're saying something similar along the lines of my community is bringing in X amount of dollars into this community, and we're having to share it with, I would assume without any research whatsoever, and I'll look into it in a second, but I would assume without any research whatsoever that Baton Rouge must be a high crime, property value tumbling area. And that these people, I think that the portrayal of this in the news is a little scary because it keeps saying white. And I'd like to know how many people of other ethnicities are in that area deciding to separate from these towns But it's funny that they bring up Baton Rouge or that they bring up New Orleans or Louisiana in general, because I remember those stories about not COVID. What was the Katrina? And I remember when the people were trying to escape Katrina, I saw a documentary where they were like on the bridge, people trying to get away from the flood, and they were on a bridge, and there were people at the edge of that bridge saying, "Nah, you can't come here," with guns, rifles, saying you cannot come here. Like, that's y'all issue. Y'all stay where y'all at. We got it under control over here. We can't take more people. We're not interested. And then, I don't know how they justified it, but it happened. I mean, it was definitely covered. It was definitely in the news. This is all over the country. Look at some of the towns y'all live in. There are suburb places right outside the suburbs that are just ghetto. Now, I understand redlining. I understand racism. I get that part. I understand. I'm not going to be cold to that aspect. But being a homeowner, if I had the option to, if my home if my home value would skyrocket, if the schools would, if I had more controlling interest over the schools, more controlling interest over the government, I can't say that I wouldn't. I mean, I've been a part of it, but I'm saying not in my specific area. But I can't say that I would be against this. I can't say that. Do you want me to read it, or what you want me to do?
No. I have it open on another page.
Okay.
So, all right, the tax revenue.
Yeah.
They're saying that if these people left, I'm trying to speed read and summarize it. It would they would lose 48 million in tax revenue.
Yeah.
That goes towards, obviously, whatever your taxes pay for, your school tax, your roads, your infrastructure, things like that. There was another part in here I saw that I thought was interesting. So it's basically they could have left the white out and just left wealthy residents.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because to me that, not that it would make more sense for them to do it. You can do, it's their, obviously it's their community, their money, their vote. But that, if the wealthy people there are white, why are only white people there wealthy? Like it's, what's the employment situation? Is that a long time issue there with the black residents there, with their probably having income issues where only white people are the wealthy residents? What's the breakdown far as household income for black and white people there, like on average? This may be just a group of white people. Does it say how many? I'm trying to read. I don't think it says how many, but so basically they're creating another well, it says no, we have not created a school district.
No, yeah, they got to create the school district. It says that St. George will be Louisiana's 5th largest city behind New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, and Lafayette. So it would be the 5th largest city. So we're looking at about 100,000 people. It's gonna be about 100,000 people.
Separate budgets. Wow.
So it says Cole and the others claimed. So the opposition is stating that St. George wouldn't be able to adequately provide services, and that the new municipality would begin operations with a deficit at about $3 million. As a neighboring city, Baton Rouge had the right to claim that St. George's creation could harm it financially. Now, this is where I don't agree. Okay? This is where I don't agree. Because I am not for creating another town. Like, say it's all Baton Rouge, and then you create St. George. If creating St. George kills Baton Rouge, I'm not with that. I'm not with that at all.
If Baton Rouge is underwater and they need government assistance, people are going to scream, those are tax dollars.
Yep, bloody murder.
So whether you're there to contribute your tax dollars in real time or the government, has to assist that area, it's still going to be your tax dollars. If you're just moving for a nicer neighborhood. I'm trying to see, I think you read somewhere of why they're doing it. Like was it the property values, or what was the
No, it was property values. They wanted more control over the schooling, and they wanted more control over local government.
That's probably where the white would come in, right? Because it looks like is it a majority black? It's Baton Rouge. I saw majority. I'm trying to do this real time. I apologize. I thought I saw majority somewhere.
We got time.
Majority.
Anybody else want to weigh in? It's fine.
Majority black city. So that's where the white would come in.
Describe Baton Rouge, Logic. You from there?
The implications are a lot bigger than I thought they could be. Well, so I got family in Baton Rouge. At least I had, when I was growing up. I used to have an aunt who stayed out there. She stayed in a pretty good neighborhood. So I'm not too familiar with like the bad part of Baton Rouge, to be completely honest with you. I do know. I don't want to put it out there like that, but I think Baton Rouge has like some of those like offshoot gangs, and they have a pretty heavy pill and drug scene, right? It's kind of usual to be riding around smoking in your car, not really a big deal if you got a little bit on you, as long as it ain't a lot type of place. But that's like my little bit of what I know about it. I ain't never really lived there or had any experiences like that. I just can go off of what other people have told me. So, I don't know much about it to be able to comment on it. I know New Orleans isn't quite like that. Like, New Orleans is like 90, if not more % black. Like there's a lot of black people in New Orleans. So I'd imagine Baton Rouge to be somewhat similar, maybe not to the extreme of 90% or something like that, but it's a surprisingly high rate of crime. I put it to you like that.
So another thing, okay, if it's a majority black city, they want more control over their local government. That would assume they're opposed to how it's being ran and whatever laws the local government is making.
You talking about white people?
Yeah, like right from the article, right?
That's what.
He said.
Yeah, just immediately, here, get banned again. Go ahead.
And the other part, they're not moving. It's like where we are, we just want to make this a whole separate district, right? That's what it sounds like. First I thought they were all going to move somewhere in Baton Rouge and say this is our area, but it looks like they're going to stay where they are, right?
Right,
yeah,
and
it's just
already in the suburbs.
And just mark it off.
Yeah,
as a new place,
and have it as a separate district, because they want more control over their government, and then property values are being suppressed because of, I guess, things like Logic said, maybe the crime. What's up, Sosa?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's.
So
like this article doesn't do it justice, obviously, but
there's a lot of
you don't get to throw just white in there unless that obviously has something to do with it, and it's like the second word in like is that in the title? Yeah, wealthy white, so money, white residents in Baton Rouge. Yep.
I think this is I think that's just the news trying to,
But it's a majority black city. It's saying it's a majority black city, and if it says that they want more control over their government, which is majority black, I'm sure you can drill down somewhere and find out what issues they were having. Like, oh, we tried to get more red lights put in, and they said hell no, or we've been waiting to get these roads paved or programs in the school, and the government is just messing that all up.
So I just asked God, and God, Black City Plan, hilarious.
Don't. Let me see what you're looking at.
Hilarious, bro.
See, that's you know what crazy? That is
Yo,
a great,
I swear to you, that's
this
the
is how
first
I
thing I
really
thought
know
when I
I
read it.
spent too much time in the conscious community. Yo, it brings into my head, well, if they do it, why we can't do it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But I'm sure it's a lot deeper than that.
Wait, all right, so check this out. So I just put in St. George creation, Louisiana. The creation of the new city of St. George in Louisiana is a long-standing effort. I mean, I know this has been going on for decades, but it just got passed. The new city, located in the southeastern portion of East Baton Rouge Parish, aims to retain local tax revenues and improve local services. It stemmed from the desire to create a separate school district. So all this started because of they wanted to do a separate school district, and this number's wrong. The city's expected to actually have around 100,000 residents. Baton Rouge is going to have a smaller amount of residents, about 86,000, and significant economic impact. So I asked God, why do they want to separate? And for those that don't know why I'm saying God, I know that sounds wild, but ChatGPT, when we actually want to get specific information on things, we just call ChatGPT God because they're very quick and they answer prayers a lot faster. So I just said, why do they want to separate? It says the push to create the new city of St. George stems from residents' desire for more local control over their tax revenue and services, including education. They believe that forming a separate city, they can better manage resources, improve schools, which was the primary motivator behind the incorporation effort. Incorporation is key. Additionally, supporters argue having their own city government will lead to more efficient and responsive governance tailored to the needs of their community. So then I said, why would this be bad for Baton Rouge? The separation of St. George from Baton Rouge could have several negative impacts on Baton Rouge. I know it's Rouge, but that's just the southern in me that says Rouge. Reduced tax revenues, loss of significant tax revenues from what's now forming in St. George, strain on services. Remaining areas might face budget constraints, which is true. Public services, police, fire, and public works. Economic impact, school funding, reduction in funding for schools within Baton Rouge as resources get redirected, and administrative costs. Increased cost and complexity in managing separate city governments and services. So I put what is the racial breakdown of the two cities because I find it funny. And actually, Sosa, for this next part, actually, if you don't mind joining, I actually want you to join because I asked did this happen in other places hits, and it gave me 7 Georgia cities. So apparently this is happening a lot of places, but Georgia was the first, I want to say the first 5 or 6 that said they were doing it. So the racial breakdown is this. I think you asked this hits. So the racial breakdown of the newly incorporated city of St. George and Baton Rouge highlights significant demographic differences that have fueled the controversy. And I knew it. 70% of St. George's population is going to be white. The remaining 30% will be Black, Hispanic, and other minority groups. A total of about 86,000 residents, like you said, many of whom are affluent and sought separation to maintain local tax revenues and improve services. Now, Baton Rouge has a majority Black population, with around 47% being Black. The city's demographic composition includes significant proportions of other minority groups and a smaller percentage of white residents. It's been contentious due to concerns that it could exacerbate racial and economic disparities. Critics argue that the move essentially creates a predominantly white enclave, leaving behind a more financially strained and predominantly Black Baton Rouge. This shift in demographics and resources is seen by some as a modern form of segregation. Here we go. I'm gonna read that again. This shift in demographics and resources is seen by some as a modern form of segregation, potentially worsening inequality in the region. What do y'all want to say to that before I get into the others? Because I asked it also, I want some list of examples where this is happening elsewhere. So what do y'all think about that? Now, I didn't think about how it would be technically segregation, but technically it would be legal segregation.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, I don't know. I thought that was at the forefront of everybody's mind. Like, I thought stuff like that wasn't legal. Like, you couldn't legally separate yourself based on race alone. Like in the topics that we discussed at other times, right? Like, you get priced out, right? Or you might have a particular organization that may have some preferences, quote unquote, you know what I'm saying, but not like a directly, now we're leaving because we're white or we're leaving because y'all black. Like, that's pretty direct, right? I thought that was, I thought that the law prevented people from doing it that way. So that's why I said, if they could do it, we could do it too. But like I said, you brought up, when you talking about defunding and you take all the high income people and their tax dollars with them, well, now you kind of got a big problem a little bit. Not even a little bit, you got a big problem for real.
Well, I don't immediately see, and this is where we go back into this unconscious community. All right, Hits, educate me. Is BS? Can I say BS? Is that like a?
Yeah, I think.
Or do I gotta say BS?
No, I think you can say bullshit.
Okay, that's the unconscious community bullshit. Like, listen, I'm a homeowner, bro. I'm a homeowner. If I live in an area where my kids go to school, where I want some control over the local government, I'm having to share tax revenue, and I'm not looking at it as black people. Maybe they are. I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they aren't. But if I'm looking at it as strictly as a homeowner and a participant in my community, and I definitely participate in local government, I would love this. Seriously, I mean, I would love this. And I know that sounds wrong, but remove the unconscious community bullshit out of it. If we just look at this simply as raising your children, protecting your property value, and kind of limiting the government aspect. Because I want you to picture something. Imagine these new residents of St. George who, in their particular area, maybe don't have as many issues, right? But having to go to a full Baton Rouge council meeting. They don't share the same issues as the entire demographic, and if they're powerful enough and do it legally, I don't see how this is. I'm gonna probably get killed for this, but I don't see how this is racist. Well, so what's going on, G? Have you seen this before, or just say what's up? I ain't talked to you in a long time.
No. Peace. I just pulled up probably like 5 minutes ago, so I'm getting caught up to speed on exactly where you're at. I pulled up on Black City Plan. So,
and you lucky them damn Timberwolves came back. I definitely was gonna hit you up. I didn't say nothing.
It just made it more painful, didn't it?
No.
Sweet joy of pain.
For those that don't know, me and Sosa had a cash bet on the Timberwolves Nuggets. It was something small. It's like $100 or something like that. And the when the Timberwolves went down, when the Nuggets went down 0-2 and they lost the first two home games, I just paid the bet. And I literally just said, like, yo, if they win, just pay me back $200. And I had forgot that we had even. Hold on. I don't know who these people are.
I don't know either.
Yeah, nah. I'm gonna go ahead and
no, they have to turn their camera on in the back or something, or somebody got to
know.
Yeah,
I ain't falling for that.
I believe the
link.
Yeah, somebody. One was Redneck Gaming.
Run the jewels.
Yeah, and the other one was like Millhouse.
Little fatty.
Yeah, Little Fatty. Not today, bro. Hey, I appreciate you watching, but we ain't falling for that one, big fella. But I would love to hear an opinion. But if you do hit the link, you're gonna have to turn on your camera, because I ain't falling for that one. I ain't interested in looking at genitalia in my off time. PCU, Miss Lisa, what's going on? But yeah, so yeah, and then when the Nuggets started coming back, I was like, I had kind of forgot about it. I didn't get my hopes up, but then I ain't gonna lie to you. So Game 7 when they was up 20, I was like, woo, this gonna be a good story. This gonna be a good story. I said, I can't wait to fire Sosa. Then I'm like, damn, I ain't even in the Discord no more. I can't fire Sosa. I was like, I'm gonna have to catch him on the Sosa's world. But I mean, I knew you'd have paid it back immediately. But then we're gonna talk about that in a minute. I'm glad you're here. But no, so essentially what it is, and also congratulations to you, bro. Even though they won just to lose to the Mavericks. I agree with this. So essentially what happens, Sosa, is this. You have the entire Baton Rouge in Louisiana. Let's say it seems like it's about a little under 200,000 residents. And there's a population.
What's the demographics?
Okay, so the way, I don't know what the Baton Rouge is with them in it because they were proven to split, but the people that are going to split is 70% white. So as St. George is trying to split from, we're not trying to, they were approved after a decades-long battle, they were approved to split from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So this area called St. George, that's going to have about 86,000 of the overall 200,000 residents. And they're going to split, make their own city, basically, because of school concern. It started because they wanted to create a school district and Baton Rouge said no. Because the funding, everybody knows, or if you don't know, state funding is federal for the schools. So essentially, all the money comes into Baton Rouge and they split it equally, sometimes not, but it's supposed to be equally amongst all the schools. But St. George is a more affluent area, 70% white, that wanted to create a school district and they were told no, because you're a member of Baton Rouge. So they fought for decades and it just passed last week that now Baton Rouge is going to be, St. George Parish is going to be its own place, creating the 5th largest city in Louisiana.
And in other words, kids in Baton Rouge can't go to the
exactly, because it's split by district.
And you know how Baton Rouge is. Everybody should be familiar with Baton Rouge.
That's my question. That was my
Baton
question.
Rouge, Louisiana, a little Boosie, home a little Boosie.
So that's the capital murder. That's the oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to split for them niggas too.
See, there you go. All right, so that's two.
Keep it a buck. Keep it a buck.
All right, so let's take a vote. Who says this is wrong? Like Hits, where do you stand? Is this wrong? Do you think this is wrong? Do you think that, because now they're saying this is a form of segregation because of the racial demographic? Because when they leave, it'll be 47. Baton Rouge would be essentially like more than half black, but definitely high crime, definitely low income. It's gonna pull literally all of the affluence, well, a lot of the affluence out of.
And all the businesses going on.
Exactly. Businesses are, you know that's the, what do they call that? The Mandela, not the Mandela effect. What's the movie? What's the movie with a bird flaps its wing? Yes, the Mandela effect. That's the effect that's, essentially is gonna happen. All of that's butterfly effect. Yeah, butterfly effect of everything's gonna move to St. George. It's gonna be basically an affluent area. So, Hits, what do you say? Do you agree with this, or do you believe that this is segregation and it shouldn't happen?
It's a lot, man. I
just off the little bit we know.
I think either way, if there's a depressed community, they're going to need help from the government, which is people's tax dollars again. So if they get help from the government or the state, people cannot complain that that's our tax dollars used to help people in a distressed area. Because when you were there and your tax dollars were there, which, I'm not gonna say made it more affluent, but it helped the infrastructure in the school district and things like that. If you remove that, it has to be replaced. If you're not going to replace it with higher income for the people there, or job opportunities or things like that, it's going to be depressed and it's going to get worse. And that money and that help is going to have to come from somewhere. So segregation, and I think you were saying if you play by the system's rules, it's not wrong. But if the system is rigged, and why is it so depressed down there like that? And why is the wealth gap probably ridiculous in that area? There's reasons for that. It's not just because those people don't own homes or they're lazy. Like that's if the system is rigged, there's no such thing as some people being able to operate in it properly and not. And to go further back, that's how the the Constitution, all that was set up for what? White men who own property. So here we go again.
Right. That's where I'm at.
It's
Right.
a broke system, man. It's a broken system, and people with money and with power obviously going to control the system, and those without are going to suffer.
Hey, Hits, I think you and that championship belt would fit right nicely. Me and you in St. George, bro. Let's move our. Hey, let me tell you something, Hits. If me and you lived, I don't give a damn. And see, this is where, like a famous person I know says the rubber meets the road. If it came down to it, and me and Hits was sitting in the back having a cigar, talking about property value and our kids going to school, me and you would definitely be both moving to St. George.
Yeah, I'm
unfortunate. All that trash you want, Hits.
Yeah,
we moving to
I'm
St.
unfortunate.
George. Tell me I'm wrong.
Like, unfortunately,
hold on. You on mute, Hits. Tell me if I'm wrong.
There's a balance though, and that's what's so difficult to to happen in our situation is the balance. Is how do we achieve and still help others who are came from similar circumstance that we did. Like it's not that you have to or that you're obligated to, but you understand it more than someone who didn't come from that. And the reasons why people are in certain conditions, pre, not post, not looking at it now, but how did people get here? How is that community so depressed and the poverty rate is so high and the crime is so high? Like that comes from somewhere. That's not just, people waking up and go, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to rob the, store today. Or, I'm going to, it doesn't come from that. That's like the result. That's the symptom. I guess the word is, right?
So I got a question for you, Hits.
Now, why is this about me and you?
Hey, we home. Hey, because you're a homeowner. I'm a homeowner. So I'm just talking homeowner to homeowner.
You see him, DQ, right? You see him.
Yeah. And I got you front screen.
So I don't know why.
Hey,
it's the belt. That's what
it's the belt.
You ain't on the belt. You're not getting a match for the belt. You tell me, no, you're not getting. I'm retired.
No, so let me ask you a question. We getting into real estate, right? That's part of Tri-Media's things. We getting into real estate. So if I told you that we had the opportunity to buy property in St. George or Baton Rouge, and we could only choose one, where you buying?
Okay, I tell you what. If you buying property that's already valued high, that where's how are you going to build off that?
Right. So you buy it
in Baton Rouge,
right?
Build on it and expect it to go up from there.
Where would we open the Tri-Media office?
Now, where would you live or something like that? That's
exactly
different. Yeah. Well,
where would we open the Tri-Media Innovations office?
You can do both. We can live in St.
yeah,
over Baton Rouge, help our peoples out. That's.
I hear you. Hey, I was taught by a great rapper said the best way to help the poor is not to become one of them.
Yeah,
that is. I live by that mantra.
Hold on,
Logic, I don't care how people feel.
We can't go to Baton Rouge. Why not? What's going on in Baton Rouge?
I didn't say
Logic is from Louisiana.
Yes.
So,
what's going on?
So here we go. Let me move you to Front Street, and then Sosa, you next, because I asked God. ChatGPT, for those who don't know, AI, Allen Iverson. Where else is this happening? And so you about to be on Front Street too, because just give it 1 second, Sosa. Logic. You from Louisiana. What the hell is wrong with Baton Rouge?
Like I said, I ain't spent too much time in Baton Rouge. I have a couple.
Now you ain't spent a lot of time there. Huh?
I didn't. I said I had some family there. I might go there, once a year for Christmas dinner and then be out. You know what I'm saying?
And then get the hell out?
I do know some people that maneuver around pretty good, on that side of the tracks, as they call it. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's them. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't sign myself up to feel like I need to go over there and figure it out. But I mean, man, it's the more I hear the conversation, I'm torn. Right? My logical brain says that it's wrong and I hate it. Right? And then. No, that's the emotional side of my brain, but the logical side of my brain is right where you at, right? Like, unfortunately, though, that I feel like that puts me in the predator position. Pause, but it puts me in a position where, like, I am now looking to financially benefit from their horrible situation, or their the fact that they have been priced out of St. George, the fact that they can't really it just immediately changed their situation, right? And since I have the ability to navigate both worlds, why not take advantage of the misfortune of people in Baton Rouge or their property, what have you, however you kind of want to put it? Because I mean, I think that you would want to do it because you see the profit, not necessarily in the light of, well, I'm just trying to build Baton Rouge up to be a better Baton Rouge. Nah, you're looking at it as a circumstance that you could possibly benefit from and take advantage of, which is capitalism, as we know it. But that's where I'm a little torn, right? I feel like on one hand, I know what to do, and I feel like on the other hand, I feel like I know what is right, and knowing what to do and what is right seem to be conflicting right here for sure.
All right, so Sosa.
Yeah.
I asked ChatGPT, right? Where else did this happen? I'm trying to see, because whenever you're doing Supreme Court rulings, that's the time that it seems to me, I've been involved in not no Supreme Court cases, but in cases where you're trying to set precedents. Like I said, this happened to me out here. I bought some property in the outskirts of Paterson, New Jersey, and we were part of building out a new area, and I knew that based on government wise, it was going to be an investment, but it took a while. But then they created Highland Park, and the property value skyrocketed. They created Heldon, they created Hawthorne. If you're from New Jersey, you know that that's kind of how the cities play out here. It'll be one large city, and then kind of on the outskirts of it, it gets created. Like if you're from New Jersey, Newark used to be one big place. Then it became Kearney. Then it became Maplewood, Irvington, all these other places, right? And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So I looked to establish the precedence, because if this it got passed here. So now that it passed here, I asked Allen Iverson a list of examples of this happening elsewhere. And surprisingly, Georgia is all over this.
Yeah, what areas?
Eagles Landing, Georgia. In 2018, residents of the affluent community of Eagles Landing attempted to secede. Now we at civil war from the city of Stockbridge. It was driven by a desire for local control over taxes and services. The move was controversial because of its economical impact on the remaining parts of Stockbridge, which is more racially diverse and economically varied. Sandy Springs, Georgia, one of the wealthiest areas of Atlanta, they sought incorporation over local services and tax revenues. East Cobb, Georgia, similar to St. George, residents of East Cobb have been pursuing incorporation to form a new city. It includes a desire for better local services and control over tax revenues. Miramont, California.
Even in those areas, though, you still got a lot of black people even within that. So that's not just white folks there, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Those
so this is just wealthy people trying to
just protect their value. Because at the same time, it's like, yo, how long am I supposed to be tied to the hip with you with this? You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? Like, I get it, but God dang, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've been trying to get it together. There's a particular area that can't get it together. You know what I'm saying? At what point do I say enough is enough? Because listen, I'm different in this aspect, bro. there's some aspects of gentrification I agree with, bro. Because some of these areas, like you weren't doing nothing with it, bro. Like let the people come in there and you know what I'm saying, especially in Atlanta, you have the money. Like people, the African American had the money to buy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let them come to these broken down areas and rebuild them up. You know what I'm saying? So we can buy them at a better value, because otherwise they're just dilapidated, bro. And the people that own the buildings and never put, like, they don't own the homes there. The apartment complex, they don't put no money in the property. It just becomes like slumlord. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know what I mean? So I'm a little at odds with some other African Americans, so to speak, with gentrification. I'm kind of in the middle with that. You know what I mean?
And then now this is one that I'm familiar with, Buckhead. Yeah. In recent years, residents of the affluent Buckhead neighborhood have been pushing to secede from Atlanta to form their own city. The driving forces include concerns over crime, local tax revenues, and dissatisfaction with city governance. It's controversial due to its potential impact on Atlanta's finances and the racial implications, because Buckhead is predominantly white and affluent compared to the rest of the city. Now, here's the challenge. When this happens, not when this happens, now that this has happened, right? Now that this has happened, okay, somebody else is sharing the screen. Now that this has happened, I'm about to say, I'm tripping. No, somebody else share their screen.
Cool. Nah, that was me. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny because Atlanta actually kind of, in some ways, actually view Buckhead as separate from Atlanta, just on the ground. Like, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But the key word I keep hearing is government. They want to have better control over their government. So that's telling me that they are the minority, not in skin color, but probably in wealth, right? I think that's the common thing I'm hearing, why people want to start their own community or separate, because they want more control over the local government and taxes. Obviously, they can't do that where they live because there's not enough of them to vote things like that in. They're obviously aware of civics to know that we need to get in the city councils and the budget meetings and the county and all of that. So they can't get it done there. So that's what you do. Say, okay, since we can't outvote you, we're going to take our money and start our own thing. That's if they can do it legally, again, it's within the system. But that sounds like it's not just crime or the school districts. It's government. It's local government. They want more control over. How do you get control over it? You vote. Obviously, their votes are not enough to sway the government in their favor for whatever, right? Taxes or
and I think Buckhead, let's speak probably specifically for Buckhead, being a Buckhead is a part of Atlanta. They will be dragged into certain things that they feel like, man, that got nothing to do with me. Why am I fitting the bill for that? You know what I'm saying? Like, because like, when because it's like, even though it's the same area, it's like how you got certain neighborhoods where it's like one area, even though it's in the same county, it feels like it's a whole different state. That's how Buckhead is in Atlanta. Like, people think of Atlanta and Buckhead as a different place. Where you going there? I'm going to Buckhead. They don't say I'm going to Atlanta. Oh, I'm going to Buckhead. You know what I'm saying? Like, see what I'm saying? Because you feel me? That's where Lenox Mall is at, and then even Buckhead itself lately been getting violent with the Lenox Mall area. But that's where, but Atlanta, which is considered, downtown area is not like, when you downtown Atlanta, that's not ready to move these days. You know what I'm saying? It's like Atlanta's kind of like three parts. There's downtown Atlanta, then you have what's called Midtown, which is the level right before Buckhead, and then Buckhead. You know what I'm saying? So that's how so it's viewed like that. Atlanta, but it's all Atlanta, but it's kind of like a downtown Atlanta, Midtown, and then Buckhead. It's three different sections. That's how the locals look at it.
What would that do to the community out there if Buckhead was able to separate from everybody else?
I think Atlanta would be up for grabs, but Atlanta's already getting gentrified anyway, bro. like the government are putting in basically they're forced, basically because they know gentrification is coming, the legal parameters are setting forth ways that they can't gentrify completely. They're making certain areas not Section 8, but Section 8 like. You know what I'm saying? No matter what you do, this building will remain. You know what I'm saying? This area will, you know what I'm saying? So they're doing things so that you can't push black folks out. You know what I mean? Or low people with lower incomes. You know what I mean? But
that's how it is where I live. It's if you want to build, because we're undergoing gentrification now. If you want to build here, you still have to have a certain, like if you want to build a 20 unit you know, structure, some of that may have to be rent controlled.
Right.
You know, if you want to buy 5 separate homes, which a lot of people are doing, you know, I live 60 miles north of the city, so a lot of people, they came up after 9/11, so now their kids are, you know, so it's getting congested up here because now their kids are grown and having kids, and now they came up right after COVID because of, you know, no one was going to work in the office. People were working from home. So they didn't see the need to live in, you know, the tri-state down there, Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. So they moved up here. But, you know, they can buy 5 individual homes and not Section 8, not do no low income, you know. But if you want to build an apartment complex, some of that probably has to be rent control or Section 8.
So this is happening in other places, by the way. I don't know if y'all familiar. I mean, like, you know, y'all know I'm from Ohio, but I remember in Yellow Springs, Ohio, Chappelle, and you can look it up, but the Chappelle, he went to a meeting and they had a housing plan, right? And yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know if y'all remember this. So it says Ohio Village scraps plan with affordable housing after Dave Chappelle threatens to pull all his businesses. And one of the things that he said is that if you do put affordable housing in this area, then the comedy club and the restaurant that I was going to open, I'm not going to open it. And I think that, you know, people knocked him for it. You don't understand the Midwest and you don't understand Ohio, but an Ohio Village Monday failed to approve a zoning ordinance that included dozens of affordable housing units after opposition from comedian Dave Chappelle. He said his business ventures would be off the table. The Dayton Daily News, he was adamantly opposed that he invested millions of dollars in the town, and if you push this thing through, what I'm investing in is no longer applicable. So I think a lot of times they make this a white thing, a black thing, but I think a lot of places, this is just being a parent, bro. This is just being, you know, this isn't about being affluent per se. It's not about being like, you know, racial. This isn't a racial issue. I don't want to make all these things racial. Sometimes it's just, can I get my kid in the best school possible? Can I have some control over the government? And like you said, Sosa, I could imagine these residents of St. George going to the Baton Rouge council meetings and sitting there like, what's going on?
Right.
Like where do I live? Like, yeah, all these like y'all describing all this crime and murders and the issue with schools and all of that, and they're like, we have nothing to do with this.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
we have absolutely nothing to do with this at all. But we got to sit here in these meetings and discuss all these things that's happening, and we don't have nothing to do with it. I remember distinctly, I watched that Katrina documentary that Spike Lee did, and it's crazy that this is happening in Louisiana. I remember that there was a town in Louisiana where the people from the lower income parts of wherever Katrina struck in Louisiana, they were trying to get away essentially from the flood. And they were trying to get to, like, you know, a safe ground, and that there were people having shootouts on the bridge. Like, no, you can't come over here. Like, stay where you at. We don't want, you know, I'm sorry sad to say, and rest in peace to anybody that was affected or passed away during the Katrina flood. But there were people that literally stood there and said, listen, no, that didn't happen to us. It happened to you. And you can't come over here. And they were literally on the bridge with guns. This is documented. They were on the bridge with guns saying, you know, no, you can't come over here. And that the police were in full support with them. Like, no, you can't come here. And then, you know, I remember towns like Houston and other places where they were saying, you know, after they tried to relocate the people from Katrina in San Antonio and Houston, other parts of Texas, they said the crime skyrocketed. Skyrocketed when they moved the people from the flood. And this is heartless. I mean, my heart bears out to them. But as a homeowner, as a parent, I can understand, like, you go to account, say you living in this area of full affluence in Buckhead, and you go into meetings of College Park. And you're like, what's going on? We have nothing to do with this. Like, we want the money that's coming in. This should be just for us. I don't know. How y'all feel about that? Chef says, I want to control my neighborhood. I work hard so I can choose who I want to live around. Yeah. Exactly. Listen, I know I'm going to get killed for this. I know it. Right. I don't care.
And you know, it's the same thing when, you know, like, you know, some things seems or appears to be racist because it falls along racial lines. Right. And it just so, you know, it kind of resembles that. But it's no different than, you know, when you like you know, I'm in certain areas and they talk about bringing public transportation to your area. You know what I'm saying? You kind of know what that entails.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not, you know, so it's not as a homeowner, it's like, you know, it just ain't a good business decision. If I look at my property as a business, you know what I'm saying?
That's what it is.
And I wanted to, and I wanted to, you know, gain value. It's just, you can't sell me that in terms of, I don't see the value in it for my business. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? And I agree with Chef in that, bro. Like I want to, you know, the part, you know, the reason you gain, you know, you got finances and you move yourself in the area because you wanted to control who you lived around. That's the whole reason why you did what you did. You know, and then for you to get there, and then somebody say, no, let's just open it up. Like, I ain't signed up for that, bro. That's not what I signed up for. So,
all right, so check this out. The Danziger Bridge shootings. And I don't know if maybe y'all knew about this, but I had to do some serious paperwork on this during school. On the morning of September 4th, 2005, 6 days after Hurricane Katrina struck New Orleans, members of the New Orleans Police Department, ostensibly responding to a call from an officer under fire, shot and killed two civilians at the Danziger Bridge. Rest in peace, 17-year-old James Brissett and 40-year-old Ronald Madison. All of the victims were African American. None were armed or had committed any crime. So they tried to cover it up. You know, that's how they essentially were prosecuted. But essentially, almost a week after Hurricane Katrina struck, the officers involved, Kenneth Brown, Robert Gisevius, Anthony Villavasso, and Robert Falcon, they arrived in a budget rental truck. None of them were in uniform. They were armed with rifles, and at least one, which is unauthorized, the M4 carbine. If y'all know guns, that's a very serious gun, the M4 carbine. And a witness described the officers as lining up like at a firing range. The officers opened fire without warning. They were walking to a grocery store who were then sheltering behind a concrete barrier. So they did an investigation. They were indicted for murder, as they should have been, don't get me wrong. But I want to see where it says, I know they went to jail because of they were trying to hide it, but essentially they didn't want these people to come into their neighborhood. They just didn't. After Katrina, it was like, no, you know, this didn't affect us. 40 years reduced to 10, 65 reduced to 12, 40 years reduced to 10, 38 reduced to 7, 6 years reduced to 3. And essentially, that's what it was. They stood on the bridge. They didn't want them coming across. and it was terrible. Don't get me wrong; it's horrible. It was unjust. It's unfair. But that's kind of like, I guess, not saying that that's why they did it, but I don't know. I don't know. I can't say that that's what I would have. I definitely, that's not what I would have done. That wouldn't have been my approach. But after Katrina, I definitely would have had not a what's the word? Not a crisis of faith, but this isn't a black and white issue. When you're trying to protect your family, you run some weird lines. You run some weird lines. You run some there's some things you'll do to protect your family that you may not be proud of, but if your family lives, you'll understand. I think those guys, it was more like they had guns, they could do it. They probably looked down on the people from those areas. I'm pretty sure there's a lot going on with it, but a lot of that was going on in Katrina. You had all the rumors and conspiracy theories of they flooded the lower levels in order to save the lower parishes, to save the higher parishes. So, you had all of those conspiracies. I don't think any of that was proved. I think a previous flood, they proved that actually happened. But I don't know. Any closing thoughts on this? And then Sosa, stay, because I want to have a conversation about Cameron real quick, and then we can be done with it. Any thoughts? Any closing thoughts on this, gentlemen? So are we all in basically agreement that as long as this isn't, its primary motive isn't segregation, and you're trying to get some control over your local governance, your school districts, and things along those lines, not racial, that you would be for technically separated? Like if I lived in Buckhead, would you want to separate? Would you want to separate? What do y'all think about that? In closing, and DQ, jump in there too. So Sosa already said he would. Hits, you said you'd be a little conflicted, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and also if I think that you have to consider, if we let things deteriorate, how long before it affects us. Now, if that's like saying, okay, the house down the street got robbed and no one did anything. You all know that analogy. Then the one a little closer to me got robbed. If I'm not with the neighborhood watch or the crime watch, or you make sure that these people ain't in positions where they have to rob people, it's eventually going to affect me. So you can only run so far before what you're running from affects you. Like, is that the problem? They don't like local government because of what? Because they can't control it. Well, the area is depressed. There's a lot of crime. Why? Right? Who, what, where, why, when, and how? What's causing the crime? If you don't deal with that and you move away from it, that crime's going to affect you at some point, whether physically or financially. It doesn't matter. It's going to affect us. You can't leave the planet because you don't like, what's going on it. You can leave your neighborhood. No one's obligated to stay, but to, leave because I don't like certain things. I get that part. Investment, I get that part. But to think that you can ignore a problem or a situation, and that's our dilemma in this country as Black people. We're in a system that was, initially not set up for us to operate in, and we're still trying to make that work. So that's always going to be our dilemma, I think. So I don't think we have the option to ignore shit all the time, because just say you do got money to move to an affluent neighborhood. Say they change it to color. Okay, we don't want Black people here.
But see, now that's segregation, though.
What?
That's something different.
But we had that before, so it's not unheard of, right?
Right.
But go ahead. Somebody else can finish out, and then young
DQ, and then we're gonna move the camera on, and then we'll close.
I kind of had the same sentiments as his had. My bad, noise in here, but yeah, I had the same sentiments his had with the situation. It does kind of lean towards segregation, but we down here in Texas, because a lot of people think, it's super, super racist in Texas. It's like, if you got your own shit, they don't care as long, my bad. If you got your own stuff, they don't care as long as you don't mess with their stuff. And so I can totally understand that people want their own neighborhoods and want to control their own neighborhoods, especially with how things are going now in these times. But yeah, if I had enough cash, I want to move into a neighborhood that I have a little bit more control than a neighborhood I didn't.
And I think it's crazy because the Supreme Court passing this means that there'll be a precedent. So trust me, in these other areas like Buckhead, like these other places, they paid close attention to it, and now that it's passed, you're gonna start seeing this more along, around the country. You're gonna start seeing this because, especially, and I keep telling everybody, we started the show talking about restaurant closings. I wish I was here for that, but the effects of COVID, the effects of inflation, and the effect of these elections is coming. If I had any advice for anybody, stack as much cash, stack as much metals, stack as much as you can, because as these things change, corporations are downsizing in these areas too. They're closing a lot of these locations. So when you're talking about finance being the stemming moment or the stemming movement behind most of this, do I agree that it's all finance? No, I would assume some of it has some segregation because the racial disparities is usually like 70% to 40%. So I understand that, but I think I'm gonna keep an eye on this, and I'm definitely gonna keep an eye in Georgia because that's like 6 cities in Georgia that now that this is passed, they could easily point to that. And now you're gonna look around in Georgia and Atlanta specifically. And now in Buckhead, if I'm not mistaken, that's a rich Black demographic. So, that's other Black people saying, I don't want to be around these other Blacks. Sad to say, I'm sad. That's a tough statement, but it is what it is. But I want to get into Cameron before we close, because this is the conversation I wanted to cover before last week, but I didn't get a chance to. So there's this big hubbub about Cameron in this CNN interview. And I just want to say this. I'm going to say my piece. If you don't know what happened, the CNN invited Cameron onto their show to do an interview. Now, he didn't know what the interview was for. That's what came out later. He didn't know what it was for. He just knew they invited him to talk. So Cameron has a hit podcast with Mason Betha. He has a sexual enhancement drink, Pink. I think it's Pink Powerhouse, something like that.
Yeah, horsepower.
He has horsepower. Because you probably indulge. And I was waiting on one of y'all to jump in there and say something. Yeah, no, don't get it wrong. That's what it is. But
that was nice. I got no comment. That was nice.
No, hey, I could dig it. I was just setting one of y'all up to see who's gonna jump. Then and obviously he's a recording star, diplomats, his own starhood, whatever. He's a star on the rise. He's becoming like a, type of a Joe Budden type level celebrity or podcaster. And they invited him up there. He didn't know what they were inviting him for. And this was the day after that horrific tape came out about Diddy and Cassie, where he beat her, abused her in the Intercontinental Hotel. And I thought what was interesting was they didn't know his history. That was my first thought. And I guess because, I'm from the tri-state area, I've seen Cameron on 2 other interviews. He's not somebody, if I owned a network, I would ever invite for an interview, because he's proven on 2 other occasions what he's like. So that's my first thought. Now, they were blaming him because, it was a Black woman interviewing him, and they just started barraging him with questions about Diddy. What do you think about Diddy? What do you think about abuse? What do you think about that? And he's sitting there, you could tell as he's sitting there from my eyes that he's realizing, oh, y'all just called me up here to talk about Diddy. And he's like, yeah, I don't really, he made one statement, he doesn't support it. He's not, this, that, and the other, but he doesn't know what Diddy does in his spare time. He really didn't want any parts of it. And then the lady kept going. And as she kept going, he started talking about, how he took a sip of the drink that Sosa uses. and says that I'm about to slap some cheeks later or something. Like he started becoming Cameron. Now, see, other people would say he's becoming vulgar, but he's computers Putin. I just want everybody to focus in on that line. Cameron is computers Putin. If you're looking for Cameron to be some level of some kind of like calming voice to the Black community, he's not doing that. He's an entrepreneur. He started talking about his podcast and this, that, and the other. But I want to point to some, and then y'all can say whatever y'all want. Cameron got called up before to CNN with the blonde-haired guy. What's his name? Hold on. What's the guy's name? He didn't get fired, but I forgot his name. But one of the guys that
Bill O'Reilly.
It was Bill O'Reilly, but more recently than that, the
Sean Hannity.
not Hannity.
Anderson Cooper.
Anderson Cooper. That's his name. Anderson Cooper. And if you remember, they asked him about crime in the Black community and would he snitch if a serial killer lived next door to him. And he said, no, I most certainly wouldn't. Hold on. Can I play this hits or no? Hold on. Yeah, this tab. Can I play this or no? How do I do this?
Just talk over it. Don't let it play for too long. You can play it, but you have to interrupt it.
Okay, so essentially they asked him about
door to you though, and that person is, killing people. Would you be a snitch if you called police and told them?
If I knew the serial killer was living next door to me?
Yeah. All right, pause it.
He said no.
But hold on. Hold on.
I'm gonna give him some context.
Serial
he said
killer.
No.
Serial killer.
Right, exactly.
Well,
so that's where he came in. He said, no, I most certainly wouldn't do it. And then he said, we'll take care of it in the way that we do. And then Anderson Cooper goes on to say, well, what if essentially that person could kill your mom or kill your cousin or kill you anything? He says, no, we would take care of it. I wouldn't. So the whole world was in an uproar behind that. Before that, Bill O'Reilly called him up, him and Dame Dash. This was like a previous interview. And he essentially said the same thing. Like, no, I'm not, I have no interest in snitching. So this is Cameron. And this is, I think, rather than complain about what Cameron would do per se, I think we need to understand that entertainers are not our civil rights leaders. They're not the people that are going to what's the joke Chappelle said? We said it the other day, Hits. When the World Trade Center dropped, MTV. You're not gonna ask Jay. We're gonna keep Ja Rule in and see what he thinks about the towers. No one cares. Only Black people want to know what Jay-Z thinks when the towers drop. Like, I don't care what he thinks. Like, at that point, we on a different level. Unless they about to make a song or do a concert or something about it, then maybe I would care. So as far as this, for everybody that's giving Cameron slack, Cameron is not a politician. He is not a civic leader per se. And I'm gonna say what he said. He actually answered what he said, and then I'm gonna let y'all get into it. He said in the interview, whatever Diddy goes through, the video, I don't support it. I don't believe in domestic violence. I don't believe in anything that has to do with being a pedophile. I don't believe in sex trafficking. I think what I saw in the video was egregious, great word, and the charges are effed up. They're really effed up. And then he got in and he says, I don't know why they didn't watch 60 Minutes. They didn't watch Bill O'Reilly. This is what I do on them joints. Y'all keep inviting me up to Fox, CNN, 60 Minutes. You already know what the resume is with them shows with me. I know we play and joke a lot, but y'all call us up there for that and don't invite us to talk about things that's positive. Y'all called me like this. We did this in less than 24 hours. You could have pulled us up for a bunch of positive, different things that we do, but you're going to play games, and that's what you got. Y'all can have at it.
I respected it after the fact. When I first saw it, I was like, Jesus. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing looked out of place, though. He was like, it was like he had shades on. He was
Yep.
like,
Yeah,
he
yep,
wasn't even sitting upright in his chair. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
yep. Cameron, though. You familiar with hip hop?
But what was the
That's
background?
him.
I thought they were trying to get Mace, right? And since Mace wasn't available, I thought I heard that somewhere, right?
No. They tried to get them both.
Okay.
But Mace, what happened was Mace doesn't do interviews with CNN anymore because every time Mace goes any kind of major publication, the conversation is going to be Diddy. And he knew it was going to be Diddy. But
So
Cameron is like, because Cameron is an entrepreneur. He's going to plug his products. He's going to plug the show. Mind you, you can't pay for the level of marketing he just got. They've been talking. He was #1 trending on every social, every social media platform in the world when he did this. And Mace just said, like, I know what they're going to talk about. I'm not going to do it. What are you talking about, Chef?
But
you ain't talking about no damn vegetables in our yard.
No, he's talking about. I think he's talking about the pseudo killers. I think.
Oh, okay. He threw me off. Hey, Loki. Loki again. My fault. I done fell for it.
But does this fall under the stereotype that when they interview people, black people, or black people about a black topic, they get the ignorant black people to do it, right? How many joke segments do we see of that when they, the news reporters show up, they go find the ignorant black person or the loud black person to do the interview? Like, everybody might not be old enough to recognize that, but as soon as you see it, now you can have some correlation because Cam, Mace, Puff Daddy. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All the outlets. And it's not just Cam trying to make $1 off of this either. CNN is trying to make $1. Their advertisers are trying to make $1. So that's what it falls under too. Like, he's not just a brilliant one in this. They all know what it is. His statements after that, it's not, this is not, rocket science here. That, they know what I'm gonna do. Yeah, and you know what they're gonna do. So it's just us as the viewers and the listeners. What category do we put it in? As soon as you see it up there on the screen, you may understand the relation. Okay, he's with Mason, that's Puffy. He's a rapper. They're New York. They're Harlem. You start, okay, so he could be someone to talk to about it, right? Just on the relevant side. Probably not the best person to talk to, but
yeah,
for people who've been around a while, since the 1900s,
yeah,
the 1900s. That's how your son said the
1900s. I'm still mad at my son for saying you old. You from the 1900s.
You born in 1900.
He pissed me off with that.
And
I'm gonna have a show about that.
Yeah, so we recognize that. You go get somebody. I would look at it. It could be either way. Someone who is close to Puffy, like I said, Harlem, New York, rap. You can put all that in the bucket, or just a person that's going to come on here and be ignorant just to prove the point that rappers and Puff Daddy and all of them, just to denigrate the whole, section. Like, y'all all like that. Y'all just ignorant and wild.
Yeah, I can understand that. What do you think on that, Sosa? I can understand it.
Yeah, like I said, I was confused. Like I said, I more, once I heard the backdrop, I was a little more lenient in my stance. But when I first saw it, I was just like, my first opinion was like, okay, when is this not going to be acceptable? You know what I'm saying? That this is frowned upon. You know what I'm saying? I understand it's Cameron. But then once hearing it, like, there's a rhyme to the reason, but then I do get his point though. Even though that's what it is, you got to represent. I'm saying, because like, you're not the Cam from Horse and Carriage days. Now you got the show with Mace, and that also could have been an alley-oop for other. If it wasn't an alley-oop for other business ventures, it didn't help. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, you know what I'm saying?
And I think Brass looks at it sometimes like it's okay for the individual. You know, it might have got his streams up, his media presence up. He might have been trending for a day, but business people, that's like day trading. Are you going to risk your time, money, effort in day trading, or are you going to go for something more long term and sustainable? He's long term and sustainable for him, not for the industry. I'm sure him and May Show may go somewhere. It may not. It may get drowned out by new people coming up. But like, you can't tell me he goes to his son or daughter's school at the parent teacher meeting and go, "Why the fuck you asked me about this?" Yeah, like I'm sure there's a whole different dialogue, or if he's in court, or if he's in an actual business deal where it doesn't involve Cam, whatever his real name is, his government, or he's doing his taxes and things like that, that he can't have a conversation or say, yeah, I don't want to talk about that, or that's not, appropriate. I have no comment. What that's a common phrase. No comment, right? A common phrase. No comment. And he did speak on it. He said, I don't condone it. It's like, oh, well, she pissed me off, or she kept asking. She's a reporter. You're on a news show. It's what they do. They ask questions about current topics.
Have y'all ever heard the term, "You mess with the bull, you get the horns"?
But hold on. Are you doing you? Are you doing the, are you doing the black community? Are you doing rappers? Are you doing black men? Like, who you representing up here?
Yeah, and it's the bull, you get the horns.
Wait.
I can't see him saying that when he's talking to his kid's teacher.
It's a good old classic.
No, and I don't think so. I don't think so. You're right. I agree with you. I don't think that he's gonna do that. But I always find myself in the same situation. And this is where Claude Anderson, his book on economics, always rings true for me. I don't look for saying I've created, not created, but I heard something from Colin Cowherd, and it's actually something I'm going to study, research, and add to my vocabulary. Avoid the needy and mute the crazy. That's how I'm going to move in social media. Because I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to, move in these circles and deal with people. Avoid the needy and mute the crazy. And one of the things that I understand, and I think this goes to all the different sayings that you learn from your parents: mess with the bull, you get the horns. But you know what this reminds me of? The scorpion and the frog. Because to an extent, and I hate using this word, but if you're gonna, I'm not even gonna use it in this particular setting, but to an extent, trying to get coherent political statements. If you ever watched one episode of It Is What It Is, Cameron is not the person that you're going to invite up for coherent political statements. And then two, he's proven on 60 Minutes, Fox News, he's proven that he's not one of those people that's going to say no comment. He's not one of those people that's going to just back down and just agree to whatever you want him to do. He's going to fight back publicly and live. So I also look at it from the benefit of this. I would assume CNN is smart. It's a major corporation. They got a lot of views off of it regardless. Or like you said, they were able to get a quote unquote a black man cooning on TV or whatever, because it was distasteful. But I think it would have been more distasteful if he hadn't already answered the question. He didn't go into his bag about the horsepower and all the other things until she kept asking. And I think you got to wait. If you watch the whole interview, it didn't start that way. It started with Diddy, like immediately. It would be like hits if CNN invited you up there for Tri Media and they just played a video of, I ain't gonna say me. Let's say Logic, he in the building, so let's embarrass him. Logic chasing somebody in the Intercontinental Hotel, beating them up, and you up there thinking we about to talk about Tri-Media Innovations, and the first thing they say, what do you think about Logic when he punched Rihanna in the face? Here's the video. I know you because you corporate, you're more, and you're a little older. So you understand kind of like what they be trying to do. You would be political. I'm just saying I wouldn't expect, your answer in that case to be Cameron's answer in the Diddy case. The only thing I thought was crazy was the horsepower, slapping cheeks, and all of that. Like that was wild. That was wild. That was definitely wild. But in essence, you know, I think what was it? What is it called? Yellow bag or paper bag reporting or something like that. Sometimes when you do that, you got to pick the right people. That's like asking Chappelle or Cat Williams a question like that live and thinking, yeah, they're going to exercise some restraint. They're not going to exercise restraint. They're going to use that moment to plug their products and become viral. And this is in, and I land my plane. I'm not saying that.
But Brad, I mean, would have been any different if he jumped up and just grabbed his nuts and said, "Yeah, suck on this, babe." You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree. I agree with Cuban. Cuban said, and like you said, Brass, if they call me if they call me a day after Logic's video, I know why they're calling me. Bro. Cameron knew why they called him. He just, you know, to me, and I think Chef wrote it.
And I don't beat women, by the way. Go ahead.
Somebody say you beat women. I just use as an example of someone who beats women. Go ahead.
And just immature, you know, distasteful and immature.
No, I was on the thing. Thanks a lot for clearing that up.
That looked like they might as well went to the street corner and got somebody and asked them what they thought, because they would have acted the same way.
You know, they essentially did though. When you get Cameron, and I think
but how is he all this on one side of the table, and then on the other side he's looked at as a street corner? He's not. You know, he could play the kid, and we all. He's been around a long time. Like he know why they're calling him, and I get it. You can't plug your product. You can't say I don't agree with it. You can't say okay, enough about Diddy. Let's move on. But you know, to say, oh yeah, that's my MO, is to come on interviews when y'all call me and just, you know, just look like I have not matured over the last.
You should have just stood up and grabbed his nuts and said, "Fuck."
The reporter did all she did to keep a straight face. This shit was like her ability to keep composure was to me.
Yeah, no, it was immaculate.
That's her job.
It was amazing.
That's her place of employment.
And you know what's funny? I watch CNN. Do y'all watch CNN? They don't use her for a lot of stuff. So that also calls into the whole claim of, you know, the black lady for the black rapper.
Because if they would have got a white dude to do it, everybody been
no, listen what I'm saying. Do you watch CNN? Do you watch CNN?
Here and there. Like
when you watch CNN, I want you to watch the times, the proportionate amount of times where it's a black person being interviewed, and just all of a sudden, out of the blue, there's a black person on the other side asking the questions. It's like I have
a problem with that too. Now,
listen though, her ability to close on this. Her ability to straight face, right? It's like the dancing frog. It's basically Cameron's like, "Hello, my darling, hello," and she's just like, "I can't believe this is happening to me right now, live. Hello, my love, yeah." Like, what the hell is going on?
Oh my god, bro.
Yeah.
So what? So let me ask you a question. I need a dissenting opinion. So so people actually were like in an outrage. And you know what is sad? Because, all right, like shameless plug, Cameron lives 3 blocks away from me. So I know like I have not more insight, you know what I'm saying? I met him a few times, but he lives in New Jersey. He doesn't live in New York. Like I met him a few times. Like I've actually, you know, I spoke to him a few times. He's not like that in real life. So it's like, I expect the entertainer to entertain. I expect him to be a character. I expect him, when the lights is on, to be oh man, I ain't gonna say it, but to coon to an extent. I expect him to do that. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I expect him to do that.
Wait, are you saying he's not the extreme comments that he said on CNN in real life? Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. Not in the. I met him at Hot 97 a few times. I met him at Summer Jam a few times. He lives in this area. Eddie Murphy lives in this area. Like I guess is why I look at entertainers a little different. I know that there's a difference between the entertainer and the person at home. You know what I'm saying? I know, like, I agree with Hits. I doubt he goes up to the school and when the teacher starts saying stuff that he don't agree with, he's like, pulls out Pink Horsepower and says, you know, let's speed this up. I'm about to go get some cheeks or something. I doubt he does that. But I'm saying, when the camera is on, you know what? Oh man, I wanted to close, but y'all do understand that this is social media. This is viral moment. He went viral. It benefited him to do all of this. It benefited him. No matter how y'all look at it. Listen, y'all could say it was wrong, it was distasteful, this, that, and the other, but that was the viral moment for 2 days, and we're talking about it 3 days later. If he did it just for that,
no,
then I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.
It benefited them. That's who it benefited. It
benefited
and CNN, and him, his brand, and whoever has a vested interest in CNN or Cameron or his brands. That's
so. Who did it hurt?
Whoever. I don't know. I didn't say it hurt anybody. I'm just saying it's like it's expected. Like as soon as you see him on the screen, like no one should be shocked. I think the topic of what it was about and his calm statement about no, I don't condone that, but then to turn around and plug a product or to blame the situation on the reporter to keep asking him the same question. I think people were more upset about the topic of violence and the video and the domestic violence and just all of that. I think that's what they were more upset about,
like I don't slap women, I slap cheeks.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
Wow, that's what he said. Wow.
No, he didn't say that. Like that was the connotation. Yeah, because did you hear his interview on Hot 97?
I didn't hear it.
His interview on Hot 97, he kind of clarified, and that's where he said, I thought that's where you heard the part about Mace. They invited Mace and him up there. And he said that he knew that it was going to be about Diddy. That's why Mace didn't come. And Cameron said, "No, we got a number 4 podcast trying to be the number 1 podcast, and I'm going up there." So he had his. I think he went up there with his plan. They went up there with their plan, and they both executed it. And I'm telling you, viral. I look at things like this different now. Viral moments. And all of the marketing that comes behind it, getting people to talk about you is priceless. Last thing. Let's move on. Last thing. The Diddy apology. Did y'all hear the Diddy apology?
Yeah, I heard
it. You didn't hear it, Logic? I can't play it because Diddy apparently is literally banning channels. Literally, if you played that apology, he wanted it taken down, but he can't do it.
Oh
yeah? The apology.
This nigga's a slime ball.
Yeah, he's a slime ball. We probably about to get banned now. The Diddy, it took place in have y'all watched Russell Simmons recently, like in the past couple years? He's doing all his interviews from Bali. He's sitting in like a island or something around all these Asian people.
He's doing his life from Bali.
Yeah, his whole life. So when he streams, he's sitting like out in nature, and that's where Diddy. I don't know where Diddy is, but that's kind of like what he did. It's out in nature. It looks just like Russell Simmons, who's facing similar charges, sexual charges though, and plus some business stuff between him and his wife, and Diddy apologized. He said he was at a rough time in his life, this, that, and the other. And the crazy thing that I'm seeing is no one is buying it. Like no one. Not one. Like there has not been one positive thing. No positive spin. No, he took accountability. He said that was me. I did it. I was at a rough time. All the classic.
He invoked God. rehab.
Yeah, he started talking about God and all of that. Yeah. So what Cuba said he did it in front of a tiki hut. You gotta watch the apology if you get a chance.
What hurt him is the fact that he vehemently denied everything. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, I thought he took accountability.
No, before he said, you know, this is a witch hunt. Me settling has nothing to do with guilt. You know what I'm saying? The truth will come to, you know, the truth will come to light. Boy, that didn't age well.
Oh man, then I didn't see the whole apology. I didn't see the whole apology.
No. I think Sosa's comparing. I think Sosa's comparing what he said before the video came out. Yeah, the apology.
So he wrote something before that.
No,
I didn't see that.
I
didn't see that.
The truth will come to light. Yeah, the truth will come to light. I think when he wrote it, was like, oh, really, nigga? Okay. How about this?
There you go.
So you want to see the truth come to light? Oh man. So yeah, I think
I ain't watched it.
I didn't think Diddy was done. I think he might be done, bro.
Yeah,
he might be done.
I think y'all give the entertainment industry way too much credit. Like if there's
I think it's entertaining.
I think if there's one place you can go and be an absolute piece of shit, is entertainment.
And you don't curse.
Yeah, no.
Dude, that's the funny part. You do not curse. You just said a piece of shit.
Yeah, right. It's the entertainment industry, whether it's in front of the camera or behind the scenes, or the people who are actually benefiting financially, you know, that never show up on the screen. I think that's one place you can go, whether it's movie, you know, music, live show, any of that. Speaking of live shows, I think I saw somewhere Live Nation and Ticketmaster are getting sued by the I don't know, FBI or somebody for monopoly. But yeah, I think if there's any place you can go and be an absolute piece of shit, it's the entertainment industry. People have short memories nowadays, even shorter. You know, and like you said, if you're trending for whatever reason, you can benefit off trending. It's crazy. So I didn't watch the apology. I don't want to hear that shit. What is there to apologize about? You said you didn't do it, and we didn't expect you to say you did it prior to the video. No comment. Remember them two little words? No comment. Well, Daddy, she accused you. I never touched that woman. Really? You're right.
I think what's crazy and what's scary, and we'll end on this, and y'all give y'all closing thoughts. I think what's scary to me is that they led with this. If this is what they led with, like if this is the first thing to come out, I am sitting with bated breath to see what is what's coming out next. Because that's something that comes out towards the middle. If you lead with that's like leading with a Joker in spades. Like if you leading with him running down a hallway in a towel, kicking her while she's on the ground and all that wild mess, and I don't support none of it. I think this is gonna be crazy. But I'm gonna finish with
like he was in look like he leaving a freak off, just running out of the towel. It's like just all bad.
Yeah, but did you hear the story from the bodyguard? The bodyguard said that, and don't look for me for sources, but the bodyguard led with that she had taken his Rolex and something of his and left while he was in the shower. Now I ain't co-signing nothing he did. It was dead wrong. But I was confused as to why he was in a towel and all of that, you know, too. But, you know, I don't know. It was just dead wrong. But Sosa, what you got going on, bro? You going live tomorrow, or what's up with Sosa's World? When you going live?
No, I've just been busy and shit, but I'm chilling all week, so I'll be going live. Crank it up.
Okay, bro. Hit me up. I'll definitely come on.
I'll join the Discord and shit. So
yeah. Join the Discord. Drop the links and stuff. Yeah, we just got a fun Discord for people that want to do business, just want to talk or whatever. It's where we do our business and connect with other people who want to do ideas or just talk or whatever. And then plus we can advertise the shows and stuff like that. Logic. I know you said you didn't have the show tonight. What's going on with you? What's going on next? And then we'll close on hits.
So I just talked to my special guest again, right? So tomorrow I'm gonna get everything together. I got a clear slate tomorrow in the morning so I can work on my thumbnail, right? And I also gotta air out my grievances with Black Egypt so I can put a little tombstone on that joint and not have to worry about it no more.
You would say that while Sosa's here, right? You're the shameless.
Sosa don't care. He don't care. He does not care. I mean, I've been around Sosa
tell
long
Sosa
enough,
the show. Hey Sosa, I want you to listen to this. Tell Sosa the show that what is this next week? You doing it?
Yeah. So I'm
tell him the show that you're doing.
I'm gonna put a couple of clips together, right? And I'm gonna try to I'm not gonna like go crazy on the sources. It's gonna take way too much time, but I'm absolutely going to try and clarify my message on, first off, why Black Egypt is stupid, right? Why it absolutely is like it holds us back mentally in a lot of ways, and not to mention that, like, and there's a huge roadblock at the very end of even if the Egyptians are black, and you know this, Sosa, you know that you can't go full black supremacy because the human genome is mapped out. Like, you know that is not going to work. Like, it doesn't like it. That human genome being mapped out is a clear roadblock for anyone trying to scientifically claim that this particular group of people is superior in some genetic form or fashion. It's right there in the middle of the road. Am I wrong? Am I wrong with that, Sosa?
Not doing the show tonight.
No, we're not doing it tonight. I'm just asking.
I already hear what you're trying to do. And I ain't closing. Not on. You could talk about Black Egypt till the cows come home. But that's his wheelhouse, and I see what you're doing. You set the trap. That's that unconscious community BS. But go ahead. If y'all take 5 minutes, but I think Sosa agrees with you. That's the shot.
I'm sure he does. I'm just trying to hear him say it myself. But
you know how it is. You know, opening the door in any fashion for Black Egypt, I would. You got it's caution is all I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I think he wants to smoke because I asked him about it.
No, I ain't gonna.
Guess what? You gonna get 7 shows about why you want to go against Black Egypt logic. Your next show, my response to people hating on me for Black Egypt. Part 3, why Black Egypt needs to be destroyed. Part 4, the return of Black Egypt.
No, sir. No, we ain't doing that. That's way too much energy for Black Egypt, yo. Way too much. But you know what? Like, I'm actually, you know what's funny? I actually know that there's a common ground there. You've heard me say this before, Sosa, that the conversation is really a social conversation. We are looking for social trickle-down implications for correcting history and making it Black people who built the pyramids. So we're looking for whatever the trickle-down implications of that for our future generations, the history being corrected. Oh, it was this fantastic Black nation, and what that could do to our mental state of mind. I can tell you one thing it ain't gonna do. It ain't gonna change the laws. We just had like a whole hour on. They just they just departed from Baton Rouge, right? You think they care who built the pyramids? Bruh. So we're looking for social implications. We're looking for a story to be able to tell our children. That's what they say, right? That this is going to empower our future generations. But I can tell you, you know, I don't see that scenario playing out the way they want it to. You know, even if that is what the history books say, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Egypt was conquered multiple times after the pyramids. Whatever information they got over there, it didn't prevent them from being colonized.
I definitely think you can't pull up to the St. George's new city and say, "What about us?" You know, we're from Egypt. Yeah, I definitely don't. I don't think that's going to hold no weight in the Supreme Court trial to secede. And you know what? I don't even like. I meant to say this too. That word "secede" in the South is a very touchy word. And I think it's kind of I think to pay attention to them. Yeah, buddy, that's Civil War. That's South and North. So when you start talking about seceding from another area, yeah, you that's like see, I told you. Listen, I do politics for real.
That's a dog
I
whistle
pay attention
right
to
now.
the wording. Listen, when you see in an article that St. George wants to secede from Baton Rouge, that's literally South-North Civil War terminology. So now you got the South in the South using Civil War terminology of seceding. You know, that was the whole issue. That was the entire issue with the Civil War of slavery. Obviously, that was the main issue, but it was the secession of we want to separate. Now I could tell you, Texas. You know, DQ is here. Texas wants to secede from all of us. Texas wants to be its own place. It doesn't want to forget seceding from itself. Texas wants to be separate from the United States. What'd you say, DQ? What'd you say, DQ?
No, I'm saying Texas always threatens that every 4 years. If we don't get our way, we always threaten that we're gonna succeed or something. Yep.
Yeah, they don't want no parts of the United States. They want to leave. So,
Crash, you my man, yo. I don't want you to move to Baton Rouge, though. I ain't gonna lie to you. I vote no on that.
I bought some property in Baton Rouge, like Hits said.
Hits
is damn near a Republican. I like Hits' answers. So Hits literally said we could buy some property in Baton Rouge, but we definitely, we wouldn't necessarily want to live there.
That's my lot.
That ain't me. That's my brother. He bought some property in Jackson, Mississippi, I think, right?
Why?
I think we went through. I'll tell you why in a minute. Well, it's the same reason, right? It's at what's that college where Coach Prime played?
Jackson State.
Jackson State.
Yeah, like right outside of there's some row houses, and they're all
I'm familiar.
And they're all vacant. So he bought a row of houses super cheap, and they're going through the process. So that's an investment. Far as property goes. So is he gonna live there? Hell no, he ain't gonna live there. They go down there every few months, him and his wife, to see how things are going, but they're not gonna live there, and they're not expecting them, $16,000, $25,000 homes they bought to turn around and go for $100,000 or not be low income housing. So. But there is I think there's a pickup down south in real estate. I think in Louisiana more than Mississippi. But
I'm looking into Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. So two things can be right at the same time. You can invest, and for the people who live there, like we don't live there. So it's going to affect it's going to affect the surrounding area. It's going to affect the county and the state, and they're going to have to step in and help them people. And like I said, as long as no one's crying, my tax dollars this and my tax dollars that.
I'm looking into some real. It ain't even just the South though. Hits. I'm looking into some real estate investment trusts. A couple of REITs in Baltimore City. Like it's the North too. There's some tough places in the Midwest, Detroit. Yeah. There's some tough places in Baltimore. There's some tough places in Georgia. I mean, it's all over. Inflation is, I'm telling you, there are whole cities facing evictions. I mean, on mass scales, like 20-30% of the residents facing evictions and foreclosures. And that's, call it predatory capitalism, call it what you want. I call it, in my case, generational wealth.
But
now take that clip and get upset.
There was a moratorium where they couldn't evict the people.
Yeah, and that's over
again,
with.
Even if they were allowed to, what would that do to the economy? You start evicting people, and that was the result of COVID. People weren't working, so people aren't making money. People can't pay their bills. It's gonna affect the economy. So maybe a community may not, a certain part of a city may not. But if there's large scale things like that going on, the people with money, they can't allow that to happen either, because that's how they get their money from working class people who rent, people who lease, people who, you know, buy automobiles, and you know, that's where the banks get their money from.
Right.
You know, lending money. And if no one's going to the bank because no one has a job, no one has income, it's going to affect the whole system. So as much as it, not saying you're saying that, but it may look good on paper, let me do me, or let's just do us. At some point, if people are blocked out, or when shit hits the fan somewhere and we don't step in to help, it's gonna affect the bottom line, you know, elsewhere. And only the people at the very, very top are gonna, you know, escape it.
Well, I'm gonna close on this one statement. See you at the top. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And it's been a good show. And we out.
Yeah.